Hi, I'm John Messina, the host of a show on high school sports in St. Lucie County called Hey Coach. And tonight we have two special guests. We have Chris Carinante, who's the head basketball coach at Centennial High School, and my good friend Dan Cuomo, long time AD at Treasure Coast High School. Thank you guys for coming down. I know you were all excited. We're getting near break, right? We got
Yes,
two more
we're
days
close.
to go.
Thanks for having me.
2 more days to go. But Chris, let's talk to you first.
Sure.
Give me a little bit of your background.
Sure, I've been the head basketball coach in Centennial for 7 years now.
Okay.
I went to the University of North Carolina, and pretty much got about 2 years after that I got into coaching.
And you got influenced by the Carolina basketball.
Absolutely. I've gone to many clinics up there, and Coach Roy Williams has inspired me a lot.
What did you major in when you went to North
I actually
Carolina?
majored in business, and my
Okay.
first job right out of college was business. And once I got in the gym every day, I was like, this is where I need to be.
Okay. And then when you first started teaching, you were at?
Well, that's Centennial from teaching. I was coaching at Jensen Beach first.
Right. Okay.
That's where I got my intro to coaching,
Okay.
and at the high school level. And I coached there a couple years, and then I made the move to Centennial.
Okay. And what do you teach now at Centennial?
I teach AP Calculus and Pre-Calculus.
Okay. And the administration at Centennial should be very proud to have a role model like you and a coach that's a teacher too, because say those classes again that you're teaching.
That's Advanced Placement Calculus. It's the hardest class on the campus. And there's some amazing kids in there, so they make my job easy for sure.
And you do a great job because all the years
Appreciate
we
it.
worked together,
Yep.
every time I stopped by your room, which was many times,
Yeah.
everybody was on task.
Oh, yeah.
But
we get some work done in there.
you do a great job in everything.
Appreciate it.
What do you think makes a good coach?
There's certainly not one component, but caring about the kids comes first, and doing everything you can to put them in position to succeed on and off the court.
Okay. Dan, what do you think? If you're looking to hire a coach, okay, and thankfully we're not a college administrator that are hiring these football coaches every 2 minutes and letting them go for I don't know what reasons. You know, when you're hiring a coach, what do you look for?
I look for somebody, first of all, who has head coach experience, and I think that's the dream of any AD,
Right.
having somebody who comes in and can show what they've done, somebody who can demonstrate techniques and methods on the court or on the field, but most importantly, someone who is going to communicate and relate to athletes.
See, that's a great word. It's communication, okay? One of the people that influenced me the most was a man named Bobby Floyd, who used to work for the Mets. And Bobby ended up working for the Mets here in St. Lucie County. Then he went to the New York Mets. He was on Bobby Valentine's staff. But I watched how Bobby Floyd can relate to major leaguers. He can relate to minor leaguers. He can relate to high school kids because he came over and helped us support St. Lucie.
Yeah.
And then I saw him to Little League clinics, and that's the key word, is
Yeah.
communication, you know?
Right.
And also I think real important is you got to be a teacher.
Yeah.
You got to be a teacher. I mean, a lot of us are a little bit turned off with all this firing in college football and pro football. Now, you know, pro football is a business, and hopefully this will never get down to the high school level. But you got to be a teacher. I know this year I'm going to be fortunate. I'm going to go over and help Morgan County with baseball this year. And you know, we had our coaches meeting the other night, and the first thing I said, hey, you guys are picking the team. I'm teaching. Okay, I'm not getting involved in any of that. But I think that, and Dan, with all your experience, going through, I mean, there's any interview that really stood out that a coach kind of said, wow, that kind of made your day and made you pick that coach?
I think the most recent one was Coach Kelly, our basketball coach. I mean,
Okay.
he came in, he's old school,
Okay.
but still relates to those kids. And he communicates very well. He's a very passionate coach, very animated,
Certainly.
as you can
No,
see.
we see each other scouting games all the time.
Uh-huh.
I go to every game, he goes to every game. We're always
He,
up there together.
he's had his 500th win, the first game of the season last year.
That's great.
But the passion is there, the communication is there, and he genuinely cares for the kids. He's in my office at 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. You know, this kid has this injury. I got to get this kid's grades up, and he's already fired up. He's had way too much coffee.
See, I think you said a key word. It's the passion. Now, I have never been at his practices, but I can imagine what his practices are like, right? Just showing the passion. And Chris, you know this. If you're a coach and you really love what you're doing, you love practice
Absolutely.
just as much as you love the games.
No doubt about
You know,
it.
because that's what it's all about there. You know,
Yeah,
it'll
and,
stand
you know,
out.
you talk about we're in the summer, in the fall, in the spring. Every time we get a chance to work, I'm just excited to be there.
And one thing you have to understand too is the college and the pro level. It's instant gratification. You have to win today,
Yes,
and it's entertainment sports.
yes.
You buy the ticket, you can scream and holler at everybody you want until you get thrown out. High school athletics is different. It's education based.
Sure.
There's where we're giving kids life lessons on time management, you know, dedication, teamwork. Those are the things that we're trying to teach kids at the high school level. It's not entertainment sports. It's part of the classroom. Some kids learn more from athletics than they do in the classroom.
Absolutely. And talking about in the classroom, I know, Chris, you have always done a great job with your players. You know, I would say 99, 98% of your players are eligible every year. And you know, my good friend Charlie Kumo, who used to be the principal of Port St. Lucie, said that high school athletics is the #1 dropout prevention program.
It is.
And you know, that's another thing that I don't think the college coaches, I know pro coaches don't have to worry about, but college coaches, they have their own academic advisors
Right.
or academic coaches. You guys gotta be on their grades all
Well,
the time.
exactly, and that's the thing. You know, there's so much that goes beyond the sport, whether it's basketball, football, whatever. I mean, we're having study hall, we're checking grades. You know, nobody's doing that for me. Like
Yeah.
we're doing it. We're
Yeah.
sitting down with the kid. You have an F in this class. You know why? Here you have a 0. Like we're on there skyward, checking all their grades as often as we can, and life lessons, showing up on time, being respectful, using proper language, all that. We try and just always put that into our kids.
Because in order to play sports, you have to have a cumulative GPA of 2.0 at the end of each semester. You know, freshmen are all eligible when they come in. Now, here's the drawback on that. You can have a 2.0, play your 4 years. You played all 4 years.
Right.
You're not going to college with a 2.0. And I think a lot of times we kind of fool parents, we kind of fool kids with that. I mean, unless you're a superstar,
Right, of course.
you better have over a 3.0. You better be taking the right core classes. And I know Fred Alameda, who's on this show a lot, always explains that to you. You better be taking the right SATs and ACTs and you know, the college prep classes. But I think years ago, when I first started out being an AD way back when, it was a 1.5.
Yes, it
It was
was.
a 1.5, and you had
Pretty low standard.
It was a super low standard, and the state legislature is the one that brought it up, okay? But still, a 2.0, you know, if you don't have a 2.0, you shouldn't be playing sports. And there's always ways of kids who are, you know, a little bit need help academically, always to get their grades up. You know, there's always tutoring, there's always ways, but I think people have to realize that high school athletics is a privilege.
Yeah.
It's an absolute, you're representing your school, and I know you take pride in it, and Dan, you know, Treasure Coast has taken a great deal of pride in it over the years, you know?
The situation was at that point a 1.5, and there was a great football player at Seabreeze High School up in
Okay.
Volusia County. He had a 1.5, couldn't graduate high school, and all the colleges wanted him. And I think that's what opened the eyes of the legislature. Said, look, you can't, unless you're going to graduate high school,
Right.
you at least
Right, you
need
shouldn't
to
be
have
eligible
that.
to play if you
Right,
can't even
exactly.
But here's where fallacy comes in, and Chris, you could speak to this a little better than Dan and I. Okay, college basketball, the one and done.
Yep.
Okay, I saw the special on Ben Simmons. I don't know if
Okay.
you saw that
Yeah.
on Showtime. Okay, great player. He came in from Australia, went to Mount Verdi
Mount
Academy.
Verdi, couple years, yeah.
Okay, couple years. Yeah,
2 years.
2 years. Okay, went to LSU. Okay, all he cared about at LSU, and he came out and said it on the show, and this was done during the whole season.
Right, it was
They were
documentary through the year.
documented the whole year. He just want to play basketball. Coach benched him 2 or 3 times for not going to class. Didn't bother him.
Right.
Because as soon as he got his grades, and if I'm not mistaken, those grades in college come out in December, right?
Yeah, in December.
Okay.
About
they
this
got-
time. About this
About
time.
this time the grades come out. Now, by NCAA rules, he's eligible for second semester.
Right.
He doesn't have to go to class second semester,
Exactly.
which he didn't. So, you know, I kind of wonder about that. And what's your opinion about that, Dan, with the one
You
and
wonder
done?
where the guidance is, because blow out your knee and see where you're going to be. You know, you got to have something to fall back on. That's what we're trying to teach our kids. You're going to play, you're going to play college ball, but you've got to get that education. So what if you're not going to play at FSU? If somebody's offering you a free education, take it.
And one of the drawbacks of this one and done in college basketball, you see more upsets in college basketball than any other sport because you have the one and done. A lot of times you got these 18-year-old freshmen. Some of them just turned 18.
Right.
Teams made up of 18-year-olds. Well, some of the minor schools, I shouldn't say minor.
No, the mid-majors, they got
schools,
veteran teams.
They
You've
got,
seen at
they got
Wichita
kids
State
22,
and teams like that.
23 that have been
Yep.
playing together for 4 years. So
Absolutely.
that happens a lot more than it does in football.
Well, the thing, going back to Ben Simmons and the guys like that, like you can understand where he's coming from, though, even though it's not what we want to preach to our kids. Of course, he's the most talented player in the country.
Right.
He's going to make millions of dollars playing basketball. Our kids are not.
No.
So that's a very bad role model, and even he can get away with it, but our kids need to understand
But
at an early level, early
who do we
time.
tell our kids to be a role model for? It's hard now
Right.
picking people out because you
Sure.
see, nothing's wrong with that. I mean, that's his lifelong ambition to be a
he's good
basketball
enough.
player. And he's good enough. But you're going to see that he's one in 100,000.
Of course.
Maybe one
Maybe
in a
more.
million.
Maybe more.
Maybe one
Absolutely.
in a million. But when you get the good high school player and you say to him, okay, you want to play college sports, you're going to have this. I remember when Jannard Boswick was being recruited,
Yep.
okay, we had every big name coach in the nation coming down. I mean, we had Nick Saban, who I had a great conversation with, and, you know, the coach from Michigan State, the coach from Florida. The first thing that these coaches came and asked me, and they took me on the side away from Coach Parker, John, grades, is he a good kid? Is he a good kid?
That's what they asked.
I think the good kid was first. Okay, we want to know that.
Right.
But that's the thing. So now, scholarships.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan, as an athletic director, and you know, what's your opinion about getting your players scholarships?
Well, the misnomer is the coaches are supposed to get you scholarships,
Right.
and that's not necessarily true.
Right.
Although they do work very hard
Yeah.
to do that. The head coach at Westwood, Coach Shepard, was a genius at it at our school. Right now, we have a couple of coaches that are working very hard. We've got five players with offers right now, but some of the players or families are, now let's not take that offer, let's wait for a better one. You got to take what comes. You've got to see your ability and go with it instead of, you know, shopping around, because if you start shopping around and it's getting close to February, someone else is going to get that scholarship. But it's difficult, and I think in the interview process, one of the questions should be, what are your contacts? Or how do you get kids recruited? What do you do with huddle? What do you do with film? Do you get do you respond to colleges? So we've had colleges, 2 or 3 colleges come through a day for the last month, looking at kids, which is great for us.
Right, and I remember years ago, Centennial won the Sportsmanship Award, and we went up with Mrs. Pike, who was our principal then, and we went up to Gainesville for a ceremony, and Billy Donovan spoke, and there was parents in there also because they were giving other awards, and one of the parents addressed that question. He said, "Coach Donovan, tell us what the high school coaches are supposed to be doing to get our sons and daughters scholarships." And he said the same thing. He said, "Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute." He says, "Let me tell you something. That's not their job. That's our job to find them. It's their job to put them in a position where they can get the scholarship, okay? We, on every staff, there's somebody that's going to go find you, okay? You know, basically, I think the high school coach, his job is to make sure you're taking the, you know, you're exposed, you're taking the right classes, you meet with the guidance counselors, okay? And you take the proper ACT and SAT test or whatever you're taking on that. But to get it exposed, I mean, you can't get somebody a scholarship.
Right. I mean, kids are at a certain level, and you're not going to magically make a kid go Division I because you send his tape. If his tape's not good enough, you know, that's
Yeah.
the reality of it. Right. You just put a kid in position, make sure their coursework's all in line, and talk to coaches, many coaches at that level that they belong. And that's kind
See,
of
that's a great point what he said, at the level that they belong.
Correct.
Okay? You went to North Carolina.
I did.
Everybody's not going to go play
No.
for Roy Williams, okay? All right? You know, when I was coaching baseball, everybody was going to get drafted. Wait, you know, I mean, let's talk about that.
And we're fortunate, or I'm fortunate. I have Terry Elias as my
Right.
secretary, and she makes sure when they come in as freshmen, you start a portfolio right now on yourself. and
great
that
idea.
portfolio follows them. So when a recruit comes in, she just hands them, or the student hands them his portfolio, and everything is there, including grades, test scores.
That's a
And
great
they just
idea.
love it. They just love it because they don't have to do any work. Everything's right
And
there.
it just goes from year to year. Okay. Now, this has been the easy part of the show. Now we're going to get into something that I think everybody out there knows is going to happen. We have a change next year on the way high school students can choose their schools. Okay? I'll explain a little bit of it, and then Dan will get into the nitty-gritty of it, okay? And then Chris, I like your opinion as a coach. Okay, for years, there has been some state legislatures that have advocated that students can transfer to whatever school they wanted whenever they wanted. They were even advocating a few years ago that you could play one sport at one school and go to another school and play another sport. Or, even better, in their estimation, you could be at one school but play sports at another school. Now, luckily, this was voted down. And Dan and myself and a group of ADs met with some of the state senators to no avail, okay, because we knew that sooner or later this was going to go through. Now, it never, ever went through as a athletic bill.
Right.
What the state senators is, and they're a lot smarter than we are sometimes, they put it on an academic bill. And they put it in a line where the governor could not veto it, because I think a line veto you have to have has to do with money or financial to veto it. So it was passed along. But the bill reads now, starting July 1st, that you may transfer or you may attend any school that you like in any area of the state, whether you live there or not, for two things. You provide your own transportation and there's room. So I know in our county, each county is going to develop their own procedure. I was pretty sure, and I don't have all the details, but I'm pretty sure that St. Lucie County will have certain dates for people that are coming out of county and certain people that are transferring in county. Now this is, academically, I'm thinking as a parent, I think that might be pretty good because I'm looking at the academic side that I would like my kids to go to best possible school academically, okay? But now that the athletics are thrown in that opens up a can of worms, okay? And Dan, go into this a little bit.
Well, it's like I was telling you earlier, it reminds me of Title IX. Because
Okay.
Title IX went in 1970, I believe it was 79, as an academic bill at the college level so that females and males got the same treatment as in academics. Based on the way it was worded, it followed through into athletics. And today, when you hear Title IX, you automatically think of athletics.
Correct.
True.
Now we have this bill that says you can go any way you want in the state, and for academic reasons, of course, but it, again, follows through into the athletic world. And it's going to change high school athletics as we know it. I think the age of being loyal to your high school, wearing your high school sweater and letter, that's all going to go away. You know, if I had a son right now that wanted to go play it or have his academics at Jensen Beach, he could go there, and living in St. Lucie County.
Now, a lot of people think that the FHSA was behind this. They were totally opposed to this. This is from the state legislature. And the FHSAA, which is going through tremendous changes right now, you know, with a new executive director, a new staff going through, they're probably going to be totally revised, is really helpless, and nobody really understands the implications of this. So how do you feel as a coach with that?
It saddens me, honestly. And Dan, you touched on it, the loyalty aspect. I'm such a believer in that, of being proud of what your school and where you come from. You're going to have kids jumping ship, maybe because the team's not good, maybe because they don't like a teammate or a coach or a class or who knows. And the people that make these decisions, they don't quite get it. They don't quite get it. Like, they don't get the implication that what the results of this kind of legislation is going to cause, in my opinion.
The FHSAA, one of their mottos that they always look at is we want a level playing field for every team in every sport, in every high school. They advocate a level playing field. This is not going to give us that.
The opposite.
Another thing that they advocate and is no recruiting by coaches. Now, they have relaxed the rule on being able to prove that you're recruiting. It is no more beyond a reasonable doubt. It is just a reasonable doubt. And the punishment for recruiting for coaches has gone sky high, including losing your teaching certificate.
But that's going to be really hard to prove.
It's not going to be as hard to prove as it used to be. But when that happens and somebody is going to be made the example of that, I hope it opens some eyes of coaches. Not that the coaches are going to necessarily recruit, but you got parents that recruit.
Right, and there's a lot of grassroots kind of background people, always going to be in kids' ears.
Now, the big cities where you got 20 schools within 30 or 40 miles, I mean, they're going to be switching schools like
Miami,
crazy.
yeah.
I mean, Dade County has
Orlando.
38 public schools, Orlando and stuff like that. And if coaches are smart, you start not recruiting,
No recruiting.
being available to 8th graders and say, look, here's my program. So you're not taking somebody from another school. You're just saying, hey, this is the open enrollment period to come into my school as an 8th grader. And I think that would alleviate things. But the hard part is, as a coach, you have a problem with somebody.
Yeah.
He's just going to leave and go somewhere else.
Right.
He's going to try, or he's not going to play. Or I know a coach in this area that has a player already and it's a significant player that told him already, I'm going to a different school next year. Okay? And out
Not
of
the way
county.
things should be.
It's not. I don't think there's a solution to it. I don't think there's if I'm not mistaken, Dan, I don't think there's another state that has this.
I don't believe there is. We have a meeting this January with the Leadership Council that's made up of the FHSA, FIAAA, and FACA group of 12 people to discuss how we're going to approach this and what does it exactly mean. And then we'll also be talking about the new football classifications and
that could be a whole show itself.
That's a whole show in itself.
That's a whole show. We'll touch on that briefly at the end of the
But
show.
everything right now is in the shock and awe stage.
Yes.
And we need to decipher how this is going to go. I know my head football coach says, I really don't need anybody else. I don't want anybody
But
else.
you
We have a
can't
tight
stop
family.
anybody from coming in. That's
No,
the thing.
however, but if your team is loaded and he's got all the numbers, why don't we have so many uniforms?
Yeah, that's a possibility. I think there's a lot of ways, but here's this. Parents are going to look. They're going to shop their kids around. It's sad to say that. I mean, I wish they would do that for academics. Don't you think that? I wish you would shop your kid
That's
around
what we're here for, to educate.
academics. Geez, I want to go to this school because their science department is the best. That would be so good, but they're going to shop around. Can my kid play right away? Okay? But
That instant gratification.
yeah, but
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's one of the most rewarding things coaching when you have a kid that, maybe has some issues younger, and you have some battles, and you get them to mature and grow up, and you kind of see him succeed, and that's going to be robbed. Like you're going to get on a kid who's misbehaving as a freshman. He's like, I don't like this coach. I'm just going to go somewhere where they let me misbehave, something like that. And that really kind of breaks my heart, honestly.
yeah, and again, parents are going to look for their own kids.
Yep.
They're going to look what they can do for their own kids. As a coach, you're looking for what you can do for the team in the school. I had a long talk with Lenny Jankowski, the great football coach up at Vero Beach. And Lenny says, you know what, John, I'm a community-based school. We want kids, Vero Beach kids, okay, that's, been following this program since they've been in Pop
They
1.
have, yeah.
But how am I going to stop people from coming in from different counties? I can't stop them because if I'm not mistaken, Dan, the way the law says you can't have county rules that are higher than the state legislature rules.
Right.
Right? You can't say you can't do it.
You can't overstep what the legislature puts in.
Right.
It's right there in the bill.
Wow. Now, another thing we'll touch on real briefly, because this could take all day, the new football proposal next year, which is going to change high school football.
The points.
The point system.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Basically, it's very confusing. I have to take a deep breath before I even explain it. They're going to make you into what they're going to call quadrants next year. And you'll still have your districts. This year, the district champ and the district runner-up get in. Now, next year, the district champion gets in. But now, the rest of the quadrant is made up of the teams which receive the highest points, and it's done by playing the toughest schedule.
Right.
Or the teams. But here's the problem. You don't know who's tough.
Right.
You have no idea. You could play a team that's 3-0 and you beat them. Wow, I'm going to get these points. And then the team loses its last 7 games. So not only as a high school coach, you got to be worried about your team. Now, if you win the district, you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
But if you come in second or going for second, after you beat a team, you got to root for
You gotta
them
root
to
for
win
them. You gotta
every
hope they keep
game.
winning.
And you got enough problems on that, which I think. Now, there was a situation this year that if it would have happened, I would have screamed. I wasn't even involved. Okay. Treasure Coast played Centennial. Treasure Coast, played Central. Vero had won the district. This was for second place. You won in triple overtime?
Yes.
Triple overtime.
I think you were there.
I think I was there on the radio, okay? I think I was there. So, you both had the same record.
Yep.
6-3, okay? Treasure Coast beat them during the year at Central, okay? On the road, which should go for something. So, and these rules, the rules we have this year, of course, Treasure Coast would go.
Sure.
On the rules.
Any logical person would understand that Treasure Coast
Okay.
should go.
Well, logically, if that's a proper word.
Sounds good
Okay,
to me.
next year, if this was happening, Central would have went because their strength of schedule, which I can't fathom, and I would have been screaming at the top of my lungs.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
That's absolutely
What
correct.
did Irv say when he heard
Well, you know, it was funny. When I first heard about this from Mr. Beasley at the FIAAA conference, a lot of the AGs were up for it because it was, it's this, we're going to do it like the colleges do it. And I said, jury's still out on my end, and it still is today. And Irv loved it at first. Then he started really looking at it and said, this is crazy. And now he's scrambling, who do I schedule?
You don't know who you're going to schedule because you don't know how good they are going to be.
That's the big problem because at its core, like, it kind of like you appreciate what they're trying to do,
Right.
right? You play a tough schedule, you deserve to get rewarded.
Right.
But there's not enough knowledge, there's not enough media. Like, in college, it can work, right?
No.
You're not going to make the college football playoff if you played all like 1AA schools and
Like Washington
you know,
did.
Sure, but you know, in high school we just don't know enough. Like, you don't know what teams in Tallahassee are doing, and teams in Jacksonville are doing, teams in Tampa. You just don't have the resources.
They're
to know.
talking about having a television show on a Saturday morning after the season ends, and they are going to set the brackets based on how they calculate the scores as the
Right,
year goes
right.
on, and it's going to be
Do you see
interesting.
why I like retirement right now? And do you guys know we're out of time already, how quick this goes
Wow,
by?
that was
Okay,
quick.
we're going to do a show. We'll have
I
you
wish
guys
my
on.
retirement would come that
I
fast.
know we're going to do a show just on this once we get all the information. After you
Yes.
get back from the tour, we'll have some of the coaches, yourself on. But I want to thank you guys for coming on. I want to thank everybody out there for watching our show and wish everybody Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And see you next month on Hey Coach.